Et bonjour YouTube et bienvenue dans cette quatrième VOD sur Stray God The Role Playing Musical. On continue là, on s'est arrêté hier, on venait de mettre fin au cycle de suicide d'Aphrodite qui a décidé de finalement affronter un petit peu ses démons et ce qui lui a été fait lors de la grande guerre qui les a poussés à s'installer dans le monde moderne. Allons débriefer ça avec Apollo.
I can't remember the last time I had guests so frequently. I did tell you we could discuss your memories and the Eidolon more in depth after the party. Did you have any questions? Or?
Et hier, on s'était arrêté sur une chanson d'amour avec Apollon qu'on avait un petit peu dragué. Est-ce que je vais changer?
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
Well, let's see. It starts as dreams you'll have of places you've never been, people you've never met, fleeting images, feelings. Then they'll appear while you're awake. You'll be eating breakfast and suddenly recall when you last ate something similar in the 17th century. The only difficult part is that eventually it can be hard to differentiate between your life and all those other lives. They blend together.
It does sound confusing.
A little, yeah. And not all the memories will be good ones. It can take time to process.
Parce que oui, les dieux, donc les idoles, survivent depuis l'époque de la Grèce antique, mais en réalité, ils meurent. Ils meurent et lorsqu'ils meurent, leur eidolon, donc leur essence vitale, est transférée à une autre personne qui, au début, n'a pas connaissance de tous les souvenirs et toutes les connaissances de sa précédente incarnation. Il y a ce qu'ils appellent le voile qui bloque un petit peu ses souvenirs, et le voile se dissipe au fur et à mesure et les souvenirs reviennent. Et du coup, c'est les mêmes. C'est la personne qui était là à la base dans ce corps cesse petit à petit d'exister et devient petit à petit l'idole qui a décidé de se réincarner en elle. Et c'était un petit peu le principe de Aphrodite. Quand ses souvenirs les plus traumatiques revenaient à la surface parce que le voile s'enlevait, et ben elle se suicidait pour recommencer le cycle de redécouverte des souvenirs. Est-ce que je me rappellerai ma propre vie?
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from
Tu as
the
dit que ça
others.
devenait difficile de différencier ta vie des autres. À quel point?
It'll still be me,
Ça sera
right?
toujours moi. Hein.
Grace,
Il y a
would you
certains trucs qui sont pas
say
corrigés,
that who
traduits.
you are is at least in part due to your experiences?
I guess so, sure.
Well, you'll have a lot more experiences. They won't feel like someone else's either. It will feel like you did all those things. They will shape who you are now, just as they shaped Calliope and all those who came before her. The good news is, you won't get all the memories. Each time we pass on, the older memories fade.
En quoi oublier est une bonne chose?
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Parce que peut-être il y en a qui sont mauvais.
We're many thousands of years old, Grace. If all of those memories returned with perfect clarity,
C'est vrai, on vivrait tout le temps
you'd drown in them.
dans la mélancolie.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all
Nostalgie.
forgotten so much?
Tell me, how much do you remember from when you were a small
C'est
child?
vrai.
Bits and
Fair
pieces,
point.
I guess. Not much.
It's the same for us. The further I try to think back, the more blurry it becomes. I remember the important bits, but little else. Some of the really old memories. There's so many mortal stories that get mixed up with them, things my previous selves learned as legends. It becomes hard to tell. It takes time, Grace. You'll remember all the lives you've led, but at a pace you can handle, and nothing more.
Combien de fois es-tu mort?
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
Well, we call it passing on, meeting the Eidolon, and it's fine. I've passed on 12 times that I can recall.
C'est marrant parce que c'est
So your
l'expression
name
qu'ils
isn't
utilisent
really
dans...
Apollo.
Most recently, it was Lucas. Everyone Lucas ever knew is gone, however, so these days I prefer Apollo again.
Lucas? Seems weird to think of you as a Lucas.
It was weird for him, too. Much like yourself, Lucas becoming Apollo was somewhat of a surprise.
Sounds like there's a story there.
Ouais, ça ressemble à l'expression qu'ils utilisent dans la tour sombre de Stephen King pour dire que le monde est en train de sombrer. Ils disent The world has moved on. Ah oui, non, c'est moved on, pas passed on. Parle-moi de Lucas.
Tell me about this Lucas. How did he become you? Or is it how you became Apollo?
Apollo had taken to surfing. He left the city without permission and roamed the coast looking for... Well, I'm not sure now. Whatever it was, he found it one night when a giant wave took him down. He was drowning, and I thought, this is finally it. But it wasn't. Lucas saw Apollo struggling and swam out to save him. He pulled us ashore, but it was too late. It took a long time to realize what happened. I didn't return to the city until years later. By then, everyone thought I was Apollo's chosen successor.
So no trial for you, huh?
It wasn't easy at first, without memories or anyone to guide me, but no, nothing like that.
Oui, parce que ce qu'ils expliquent, c'est qu'en général, les idoles choisissent leurs successeurs et commencent à les briefer avant de mourir et de leur passer leur eidolon. Mais du coup, bah moi non, parce que Calliope, elle est morte, assassinée visiblement, donc elle a pas eu le temps. Et lui, comme il était en train de se noyer, pareil. Et si
Wait,
Lucas
what
n'avait
would
pas
have
été là,
happened if Lucas hadn't tried to rescue you? What if no one was there when you...
il
When
serait
I
disparu pour de
died,
bon.
Then the eidolon of Apollo's line would have ended forever, I
Parce que
think.
visiblement, il y en a qui sont déjà morts.
There have been stories about eidolons that survive for a time and go wandering. That's probably all they are, though.
Par exemple, Perséphone,
Stories.
ils ont dit qu'elle avait buté Hadès.
That's not
Visiblement,
something
c'était
we've had much
une
opportunity
réelle
to
death.
study, but normally death without passing on is how an idol really
Real
dies.
death, qui est un terme que j'emploie évidemment à
Forever.
Altered Carbon, la série de bouquins de Richard Morgan. C'est tout pour le moment.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Parce qu'il y a
Hopefully
une
this
logique.
eases whatever concerns you might have had.
Parce que dans
Anything else you'd like to discuss while you're here?
Altered Carbon, les humains ont leur conscience mémorisée dans une puce. Et du coup, quand ils meurent, on peut récupérer la puce et la mettre dans un autre corps. Donc du coup, il y a un peu une logique un peu similaire, mais en technologique. Parle-moi de Calliope.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
For centuries, we were far more. I was the god of the arts, and the muses were my constant companions. We went everywhere together. They had many names, but the three most common were Clio, Talia, and Calliope.
Ah oui, Clio,
The
c'est
sisters of
c'est une
beauty,
manière.
I called them, though they weren't always women.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Most of us seek out inheritors who are like us, I suppose, but not all. Calliope, in fact, was a man in her previous incarnation. Christoph, I think his name was. A poet Calliope adored. I was surprised when she made him a muse.
C'est très contre la transphobie. Est-ce que Calliope a changé après Christophe?
Who did Calliope become after that poet, Christoph?
Hello Elgato.
You have to realize
Putain.
we're already into the
Pourquoi tu
period where
débarques,
Calliope
tu
and
débarques pas
I
comme ça sur un stream pour
weren't
dire pas mal les
really
bzels?
speaking. She showed up one day in her new form, the one you met. An opera singer whose name she never revealed. We fought, as I recall. I told her she couldn't pass on every time she met an artist she fell in love with. Eventually she'd forget everything about who we were and where we came from. She said she'd rather forget than wallow in old memories like I or the other idols were doing. It was time to wake up and make the best of our situation. Calliope was an idealist without compromise. Always.
Voilà.
She hated
Donc
what
là, on
I'd
retrouve
become,
cette idée qu'elle, elle était pour un changement de la situation,
what I'd become.
alors que Athéna, elle a l'air d'être dans le
She
conservatisme un peu.
wasn't wrong.
Ce qui va dans le sens de ma... Enfin, après, Apollon aussi, lui, c'est un immobiliste, mais... Calliope et toi, vous vous disputiez souvent?
From how you describe it, you and Calliope fought a lot.
As often as we saw each other, which became less and less as time wore on. However, she fought with everyone.
Pas tout le monde, visiblement, parce que Perséphone avait l'air
Calliope hated the idols being kept secret.
de bien l'aimer.
She and Athena would
Voilà.
get into screaming matches over the rules, and it got so I could no longer protect her. She moved out of Olympus years ago and kept to herself. I just assumed she was wrapped up with some new artist when I got the news.
Do you regret not making up with her?
Every day I think about our last conversation and what I should have said or done differently. The problem with immortality is that you think you have all the time in the world.
Ça, c'est un thème qui revient souvent dans les trucs de fantasy ou de science-fiction où il y a des histoires de vie immortelle. C'est quand t'es plus menacé par la mort, il y a plein de trucs sur lesquels tu te relâches. Tu te dis, ouais, j'ai le temps. Tu te dis, ouais, je peux prendre des risques inconscients. Je suis pas obligé d'essayer de changer, etc. Calliope avait aussi de bons côtés, hein.
It wasn't only fighting with Calliope, right? Surely there were good things too.
Is that how it sounds? No. She was marvelous. A force to be reckoned with if there ever was one. In the darkest days during the war, it was her songs that gave us hope. She kept Aphrodite alive through sheer determination, I think.
Comme moi.
Calliope cared. About us, about art, about people she'd only just met. It was her greatest strength as well as her greatest weakness.
I wonder why she picked me. I don't feel like I'm any of those things.
You underestimate yourself, Grace. I see a lot of her in you. She chose well.
Qu'est-il arrivé aux autres muses?
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
Cleo perished centuries before, the victim of an obsessed writer she'd spurned. He kept her in a cage as his personal muse.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
It was. By the time we found her, she was already... Well, it's enough to say her captor didn't survive her for long. Talia, however, was lost to us on the very last day of the war. We were about to leave on the ship, but she just never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never found out. I worried for years, even hired people to look, but as far as I can tell, she up and vanished into smoke that day. The war had ground her down. I was upset, but not surprised.
Parlez-moi des idoles.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
You are. What would you like to know?
Well,
Est-ce que Athéna a déjà
what
tué des
are
gens?
we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
The short answer is, we don't know. If I think far enough back, I can remember bits and pieces. I remember my first Pythian games, the day the idols split in 2 over Troy, the day my first son died. But before that, nothing. None of us do. I vaguely recall the very first Apollo many thousands of years ago, but was he the original? Did he appear out of the ether? I couldn't tell you.
C'est pas grand-chose, mec. Comment as-tu pu oublier d'où tu venais?
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Interesting. The notion that there might be some other place far away where we're the norm is comforting.
Bah, ça fait de toi un immigré,
Sadly,
c'est pas
our
une bonne
memories
idée.
are
Hein.
filled with blanks. There was a war with beings we called the Titans. A terrible conflict where half our number died, yet do I remember a single battle. The last was after Rome fell. Zeus called us together to relay the news, told us to prepare for battle. And then, in the blink of an eye, I was in the 16th century. What made us forget 1,000 years? What happened during that time? We don't know. Athena calls that period the gap.
Ouais, C'est mieux The Gap que le blanc, non? Parce que... Parle-moi de ce trou.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...
I know I was alive. I passed on my eidolon who knows how many times, yet the moment I woke up, as you call it, all memory of that period was gone.
Donc ils ont oublié tout le Moyen-Âge, comme c'est
It was Athena
comme c'est
who
pratique.
found us. I was in France.
Toute
I think.
l'époque où il y a eu
She came to my farm.
des tortures,
and the
des
moment
cabales,
I
tout ça,
laid eyes on her, I just knew. It all came
les
back.
croisades.
Did someone do that to us? Did we scatter to the winds for 1,000 years on purpose? It's a mystery.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found
Ouais,
it,
est-ce que
right?
c'est pas elle qui a organisé
She
ça?
must have been aware.
Athena claims she awoke on her own and spent the
Bien sûr.
next century locating the other idols.
Après avoir buté son père.
We've pieced together very little of the gap or of our origins. We simply live with it. Gods we may be, but I'm afraid we don't have all the answers.
Et elle a créé ce gap pour que ensuite, quand elle dise bon bah maintenant on fait comme ça, les gens sont en mode ok bah comme on est un peu perdu. Tu as dit que tu avais un fils?
Earlier you mentioned your son dying. Did I hear that right? Can idols have children?
Non, c'est dans le même
It
sens
was
que.
rare, but yes. Back in ancient times, some of them
Ah,
even
non.
became idols themselves.
D'accord.
Some of the idols are actually family then.
Not anymore. Most of our children met terrible ends. A gift of the fates, perhaps. I don't know. The ones who weren't idols. It's hard. Watching your children grow old and die. Never understanding why they can't have the same immortality you do. Why you can't grant it to them. My first son is why I'm not permitted in Hades any longer. Let's simply say that most idols have stopped having children, and maybe leave it at that.
Ok, il y a une histoire là-dedans. Parle-moi de la guerre.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
I don't think we would have left the old world otherwise. It was home.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Et c'est quoi que vous appelez l'ancien monde?
I caused it.
Pardon?
I foresaw what was going to happen, so I tried to prevent it.
Ah.
I told Ares. I figured if the god of war
Il y a
couldn't
tellement de
stop what was to
culpabilité derrière
come,
lui.
And that's why he betrayed everyone.
he decided the idols were a lost cause. Because I told him we were.
Les prophéties, c'est vraiment nul. Ce n'est pas de ta faute.
Surely it could have happened anyhow. It was a big war. The biggest.
Perhaps. We'll never know, will we? My time afterwards was spent helping the survivors, keeping us on the move. If Hephaestus hadn't intervened, we would have all been captured.
And he's...
Oh, gone now, we assume, like so many others. We are nothing more than refugees from a war long over, Grace.
Oh, bah, il serait temps de get over it, non? Je veux en savoir plus sur toi.
I'd like to know a little more about you. All I know is you live in a dump, you have an oracle, and you...
I'm not sure what to tell you. One day has bled into the next for so long I feel like I've been lost in the spaces in between.
Wow, that's a bit dramatic.
Yeah, well, it comes naturally. Music and the arts were once under my purview as a god.
How did that get decided? Did you have a big hat full of pieces of paper and you all picked at random?
Oh, c'est une trop bonne
No,
idée, ça.
we chose them for ourselves. Some, at least. Others were given to us by our priests. We collected godly responsibilities like marbles.
People collect marbles?
Oh, whatever it is mortals collect these days. Cars, perhaps? The point is, we took our godly duties
Qu'est-ce qu'ils
very
collectent,
seriously.
ouais, les enfants maintenant? Moi, à mon époque, on collectionnait les billes encore. Les Pogs aussi. Les cartes Pokémon après. Quel genre de dieu étais-tu?
You must have been very different back when you were a proper god.
Comment ça, un vrai dieu?
I think most of us were. We saw ourselves as, I don't know, teachers. Mortals were our students, and we guided them to enlightenment. We thought we were special, infallible. I was as magnificent as the sun, and I surrounded myself with those who basked in my radiance.
That doesn't sound like you.
Oui,
I was
pas
arrogant.
très solaire, quoi.
If there was a man or woman I desired, then I had to have them, or there would be consequences.
Ah, t'étais ce qu'on appelle un violeur, en fait.
You wouldn't have liked me. I wouldn't have liked me.
Après, c'est ce qu'elle m'avait dit, Freddy. Elle m'avait dit que même dans la mythologie où tout le monde baisait à couilles rabattues, Apollon, il avait une réputation. Pourquoi Perséphone est en colère contre toi?
So what is Persephone's beef with you exactly? Is it just about what
Ah, je
Hades
me
did to
remets à-
her?
That's no small thing.
It seems
That's
more
the cadet.
personal than that.
I mentioned how Persephone's
C'est bon.
kidnapping almost meant war between Olympus and Hades, yes? Well, while this was all going on, Persephone managed to escape the underworld, and I'm the one she encountered first.
Uh-oh.
Et ta poucave?
Hades was hot on her heels. And I had a choice. Either do battle with Hades and start the war right then and there, or let him take her back. Zeus would have had my head if I had sparked a war. Yet all I still think of are Persephone's eyes as Hades smugly took back his prisoner. It's not my finest moment.
T'as pas l'air d'en avoir beaucoup eu des heures de gloire en vrai, non? Tu as essayé de voir un psy?
Apollo, have you ever tried, I don't know, talking to someone
Vous avez
about
pas un dieu de la psychologie là?
how you feel?
I will never understand this modern fascination with therapy and focusing on one's feelings.
It might help.
Il y a
You
les
never
dieux des
know.
émotions en plus.
Yes, I've tried it. There was one I used to speak to. Hecate enchanted him never to reveal what I told him. It was interesting. Frankly, my time with you has proven far more beneficial.
I'm not a therapist, Apollo.
I understand. And I don't mean to rely on you, only that it makes me happy just to know you, Grace.
Ça fait plaisir. Ça a été dur de rejoindre le nouveau monde?
Was it hard for the idols to come to the new world? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
I don't think it was the place so much as the condition we were in. Shell-shocked, one might say. Our entire world had been turned upside down. Suddenly, we had rules.
À cause d'Athéna.
Secrecy was paramount, and no one was permitted to leave the city. Some, like my sister Artemis, couldn't abide it.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Ah bon? Non.
Goddess of the hunt.
Personne n'en a parlé.
And a wild thing herself. She left, I think.
Artemis folle, elle était folle. Mhm.
Faded away without a word. As many did in the early days here. Huh. Later, Athena became even more strict.
Bon mais putain,
For her
on
own
sait
good,
qui
of
c'est qui l'a
course, but
buté.
it hasn't been easy.
Bon, il nous faut une preuve maintenant.
This city has never felt like home, so much as a...
Ça sent que c'est une fausse
Temporary
piste et en
shelter.
fait c'est Apollon depuis le début. C'est tout pour le moment.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Of course. I look forward to it.
Ok, allons à l'appartement de Grace. Ah, on est déjà le jour 5. Putain, ça va vite. Il me reste plus que 2 jours pour prouver mon innocence. Ah, salut Hermès.
Oh, hi, Grace. I can just call you Grace, right?
That's my name. Where's Freddie?
She went out to get snacks. We were gonna watch TV while we waited, but, well, here you are.
Tu connais Freddy?
What, you and Freddie are friends now? When did this happen?
When I came looking for you, Friday has this movie that I've never seen. Super cool, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, would you rather not share your mortal friends? Anyway, I guess Athena wants to talk? I can zip us over to Olympus anytime, if you're free.
J'ai le choix.
Do I have a choice about seeing Athena? I'm not in the habit of being at anyone's beck and call.
I mean, I guess you could say no, but I wouldn't. If Athena wants something, she's gonna get it eventually. She had that look in her eyes, like she really wants to talk to you.
She could always come here. Everyone else does.
Athena entered the mortal world? And now she doesn't do that ever. Can you imagine?
Athéna ne quitte jamais l'Olympe. Moi, ça m'étonnerait. C'est un bon alibi pour dire bah non, ça peut pas être moi parce que tout le monde sait que je quitte jamais l'Olympe. Ou alors elle a eu un contracteur. Mais je reste moi sur l'histoire que Pan, la première fois qu'on le rencontre, il dit oui, on peut parler devant Freddy parce que de toute façon elle appartient pas au monde des mortels. Et ça, on n'est jamais revenu là-dessus. Mais qu'est-ce que ça signifie? Est-ce qu'elle aussi, Athéna ne quitte jamais l'Olympe?
How does Athena manage never entering the mortal world?
She doesn't have to, I guess. Everyone brings her everything she needs. And that creepy owl of hers? Apollo says it's her eyes out in the world. It's everywhere. Watching.
So what, she just never leaves the building?
She'll go to the reliquary and places like that. Just never
tombe
where
bien.
mortals are. She wears a toga and calls cars iron horses.
Ah oui, complètement rétrograde. C'est ça ton boulot?
So this is what you do? Ferry people around?
I'm the god of messengers, baby. Travelers, doorways, any kind of transition, really.
Même transition
The
de
old
genre?
Hermes said that the transition part made even more sense for me, which, you know, extra cool, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I can connect any two doorways anywhere, just like that. So it's super easy to take people wherever. I don't mind.
Tu connaissais l'ancien Hermès?
You mentioned the old Hermes a lot. You knew him?
Yeah, I was homeless for a while. It wasn't a great time, and he took me in. Everyone's on the same journey, he used to say. Only the roads are different. And then he went on his journey. Man, I still miss him every day.
Wait, isn't he still inside you? Aren't you kind of the same person now?
Not yet. It's only been a year. Maybe I'll feel him again one day. That'd be nice.
T'aimes bien faire le larbin?
You say it's easy, but do you like doing all these errands?
Huh. Yeah, I never thought about it. It's nice to have a purpose. Athena is super sweet, and she has a big, important job. Why wouldn't I want to help her out?
You can't be this nice. Are you for
Bah,
real?
parce qu'il a été marginal pendant très longtemps et là il a
the
une
old
place.
Hermes used to say that a willingness to serve is more important than a willingness to be served.
Et la réflexion qu'il a fait sur la transition, c'est parce qu'il est, c'est un trans et que c'est pour ça qu'il a été mis à la rue par sa famille.
I suppose
Allons-y.
there's no point in putting it off. Do your thing. Take me to Olympus.
Okay. Oh, when you see Freddie, tell her I'm sorry I couldn't stick around for the movie. And mind if I say something?
Sure.
You've changed. I mean, from the person I met when I first came here. When, you know, you got it together really quick.
Ouais, je suis en face learner. Allez, go.
Thanks, I guess.
Pardon. Ah, ça me fait penser, ouais. Parce que comme le nom... Oula. L'encodeur est en surcharge, revoyez à la baisse vos réglages vidéo, utilisez un pré-réglage d'encodage plus rapide. Choix du trait. Donc j'ai commencé par être badass. Est-ce que je pourrais pas être Justice? La bonté et le charisme incarné. Je veux dire, c'est un peu ça que j'ai fait. J'ai essayé de comprendre à chaque fois les persos. Genre Médusa, j'ai essayé de la comprendre. Perséphone, j'ai essayé de la comprendre. Plus que intelligente, non? On a parfois besoin de réfléchir un peu pour sortir un mauvais pas. Ça, c'est vrai. Il y a plein de choix où je suis en mode putain, pourquoi je suis trop con? J'aimerais bien dire ça. Ah, peut-être que je suis intelligente. Allez. J'ai été bloqué plus de fois par des choix intelligents
There you are, Grace.
que je pouvais pas
Do
prendre.
have a seat.
Et pour affronter la déesse de la sagesse, ça me semble legit.
I prefer to stand, thanks.
As you like. You've certainly been busy, haven't you? Everywhere I turn, there you are. Including the reliquary.
Oui, toi aussi, non?
I'm uncertain how you got access, but even you must have realized it's off limits. Particularly for your mortal friend.
Ah, c'est un rappel au règlement? Ça vous ennuie?
Sorry to be annoying.
I'm not annoyed, my dear. I'm concerned what new trouble you'll find in attempting to escape your old trouble.
Oh well, I'll try to die more quietly next time.
You think our judgment was rash? It was. In truth, I worried that giving you time, letting us all get to know you, would make it harder in the end. I am sorry, Grace. You may not believe it.
La traduction, c'était pas du tout ce qu'elle disait.
I care deeply. I care
Enfin,
about
le
what
sens
happens
était
to
le même,
you
mais
and to all the idols.
c'était plus fort. Elle disait, si on te laissait le temps de nous connaître et de s'attacher à nous, ça aurait été plus cruel quand on t'aurait déglingué. Comme vous vous préoccupez de Méduse.
Like you care about Medusa?
Vous l'avez maudite.
She lives like that because you cursed her. Have you even tried to undo it? I'm betting not, because she's useful like this, and that's where your caring ends.
À un moment, faut dire les choses.
Zeus was the first to leave.
Ah oui, allez,
King
à
of the
partir, oui.
gods. And we don't even know
Bah non.
what became of him.
Bien sûr.
Vanished into the ether.
Parce que tout le monde a oublié. Et
Poseidon was next, walked out into the seas, never to be heard from again. Ares betrayed us. Hephaestus saved us. Hades was murdered, and by one of our own. The list goes on.
Ah, attendez, parce que j'essaie de regarder un petit peu si je peux pas régler ces problèmes d'encodage. Je pourrais encoder en 30 fps. Ah, ou réduire le débit vidéo. Réglage d'encodeur lent. Mettons-le à moyen, mais ça fait une qualité moyenne. On va voir si ça empêche de... Peut-être que l'image aura été détériorée, mais que on aura plus de stabilité, on va voir. Qu'est-ce qu'il a dit Et vous continuez?
So you add to it. I show up and you kill me off because you can't be too careful.
We are dying, Grace. I don't mean diminishing or drifting apart. I mean our immortality is disappearing. Very soon now.
Ah, comme dans le film The Old
idols
Guard
will be
de
no more.
Netflix, qui était pas
We
pas
are a
ouf.
legacy that spans millennia, dating back to the very dawn of humankind. So yes, I care. I will do anything and everything in my power to avoid that fate, even if it appears unfair.
J'aurais pu vous aider.
Yeah, it's too bad. I've been an idol for 5 minutes, and I've been out there solving problems you've all wrestled with for how long now? I could have helped you, Athena. I could have helped all of you. But you don't see that, do you? You're so busy holding on to what you have. You can't see what you're throwing away.
I know we've put a great deal on your shoulders, Grace. I do. All I called you here to ask is that you please not make my job more difficult than it already is. If you have any other questions or concerns, now's the time to bring them up.
Qui a accès au reliquaire?
Who has access to the reliquary? Is it anyone with a key, or...
Does it matter? You gained access, so clearly it is not difficult to get. Speaking of which, I don't suppose you'll tell me who gave you that key.
La même personne qui l'a donné à Calliope.
The same person gave it to me, who gave it to Calliope.
Ça poucave un
And
peu, mais
who
bon.
gave it to Calliope then?
Ah bah, je te le dirai pas, par contre.
I see.
Tu le sais très bien. Vous êtes allé au reliquaire, n'est-ce pas?
Speaking of the reliquary, you went there, right? Once Hecate told you what happened?
Yeah, I was not impressed by the delay.
If you had known about that, the night Calliope died, would it have made a difference?
The chances are exceedingly small that you attacked her there, it's true. Yet, Calliope was weakened, which made her more vulnerable prey for an enterprising mortal. One she knew.
On s'est croisés une fois.
Perhaps the incidents are connected, perhaps not. I cannot afford the risk of uncertainty, Grace. I'm sorry.
Et après, je l'ai traîné jusqu'à chez moi en passant par un portail de Hermès, j'imagine. Parlons de Méduse.
Alright, let's talk about Medusa.
Again, if you wish. What of her?
Pourquoi vous ne l'aidez pas?
Was I right? That you haven't even tried to undo the curse that you inflicted on her?
I wish I could remove the curse. I'm afraid the Athena who bestowed it is long gone. She was prideful, that Athena. As prideful as she was powerful, I'm ashamed to say.
The current Athena is responsible for everything she's done.
I am well aware, Grace. What is it that you would have me do exactly?
Arrêtez de vous servir d'elle.
How about you stop treating her like a servant? Maybe send her somewhere she won't be tempted all the time.
Oh, well, if you happen to hear of a diet camp for man-eating monsters, by all means, do let me know. Now, if there isn't anything else?
J'ai réfléchi. Non, je sais pas. Parlez-moi de
What
Pan.
do you know of Pan?
Pan? That's not a name I expected to hear. Been sniffing around you, has he?
I have some suspicions, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Pan lurks at the edges because he likes it there, seeking out whatever profit he thinks he can get away with. Avoid him, dear, or he'll stick to you like gum to the bottom of your shoe.
Pan est-il un assassin?
Okay, so you don't like Pan much. I get that. But do you think he could kill someone?
We've all killed, my dear. I was once a warrior queen, feared by mortals and gods alike.
Ouais, mais t'inquiète, t'es au sommet
Another
de
idol, I mean.
ma cible,
Is
de ma
that where
liste.
your investigation has led you? To Pan?
Un truc m'échappe.
Sort of. But I feel like I'm missing something important. Maybe the goddess of wisdom could help me out?
It would be helpful to know what Calliope was doing at the reliquary, but she's not available to ask. Not until you regain her memories, at least.
Comment on peut
Why
accélérer ce
not
process?
put off the trial until then? Seems like a good way to solve all this. Yeah?
And trust what you decide to share? I think not.
Je vais y aller.
I guess I'll get back to my investigation.
I am rooting for you, Grace. If there's another way to resolve this, any way at all, I will take it.
Will you? Really?
Good luck.
T'as
Feel
pas
free to
répondu.
take a cookie on your way out.
Qu'est-ce les couilles avec ces cookies, elle? T'es pas la déesse des cookies que je sache. C'est une référence à Matrix, c'est ça?
I can't say I'm surprised. Athena has always struggled in a crisis.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it.
Remember, she was a warrior. When pressed, she's always turned to that aspect, sought to maintain absolute control. It'd be hypocritical to say it's wrong of her. She's battled for me as much as for anyone.
Les idoles sont vraiment en train de mourir?
Do you think she's telling the truth? About the idols dying out?
Yes, though I find it odd she chose to tell you.
Maybe Athena thought, who'd believe Grace if she blabbed about it anyway?
Sadly, while I'd prefer to stay in her good graces, I doubt that will be possible.
Uh-oh. What now?
You may not like this, but you need to go back to the reliquary.
Je crois savoir pourquoi.
You know, Athena said something to me. That it'd be nice to know what Calliope was doing there.
On a
in
déjà
the
posé la
first
question en
place.
vrai, non?
As usual, you're way ahead of me.
Par contre, Ekat, peut-être qu'elle
It's
peut
the only
soulever le
piece of the
voile.
puzzle we're missing. Calliope went there because she had a plan. But what plan?
Ekat.
If she left clues behind, wouldn't Hecate have found them already?
That's a really good question.
Remember how I told you it'd be years before you got Calliope's memories back?
Voilà.
Well, that's
Putain, c'est ce que
true,
je dis depuis le
but
début.
not
Faut prendre du
entirely.
LSD.
Okay.
Those memories are inside you. You go somewhere important to Calliope or touch something special to her, you will get flashes.
Ah, j'ai juste à toucher à tout dans le reliquaire.
feelings.
Do you want Grace to go to the reliquary so she can have déjà vu?
Déjà vu.
Whatever happened to Calliope there, it ended her life. All we need to do is uncover those memories.
Par contre, pourquoi elle a des triangles d'absorption sonique dans son appartement? Elle a pas l'air de jouer de la musique chez elle ou d'être streameuse. Comment on entre dans le reliquaire?
Last time Freddy and I were there, Hecate wouldn't let us into the reliquary. Not without Athena's permission.
Okay. Do you want to ask Athena for permission?
It just seems like a radical step. For you.
A week ago, I would have said that breaking into the reliquary couldn't be done. A week ago, I couldn't have imagined being here. My stance on a lot of
Pourquoi
things
tu
has
parles
changed.
si loin du micro à Volon?
If you have another idea, however, I'm happy to go along with it.
Le reliquaire a des alarmes.
What
Mais
about
on
the
est potes
alarms?
avec
I'm not eager
Astérion
to have
et...
Asterion chasing me through the fog.
Calliope snuck
Yeah,
in
cats.
without setting off any alarms? At least at first.
Well,
Putain,
I'll be
ça continue à
following
ramer
in Calliope's
l'encodage.
footsteps, won't I? What if I follow the wrong footstep and set them off?
Then the alarms bring Asterion and Hecate, and all three of us do a great deal of apologizing.
Let's just hope that's all those alarms do.
Tu penses que ça va marcher?
Are you sure about this? You want me to wander around hoping something comes to me?
Am I sure? No. No, I'm not.
Oh, that's comforting.
What if Medusa is lying? What about Pan? We could look into him some more, couldn't we?
Oh, well, do you have a way we could look into those things without encountering even more lies?
Deja vu it is.
Il n'y a pas d'autre moyen.
Is there really no other way? This seems a bit desperate.
I think that's kind of the point, Grace.
There isn't much time left, and I'm out of ideas that won't take more time than we have.
Well, there's always running, right? Grace leaves the city, goes on a world tour, becomes rich and famous. It's just me. Okay then.
J'essaie de regarder mon retour de stream pour voir à quel point je suis fluide. Ça a pas l'air ouf. Je pense qu'il faudra falloir que je redémarre mon ordinateur comme hier. Qu'est-ce que je dois chercher?
Let's say I do
Juste cette
this.
VOD.
What am I hoping to find?
Some memory of what happened to Calliope, even a flash. Anything that gives us something to work with.
And if that doesn't happen?
Make it happen, Grace. As if your life depends on it.
Lol.
I can really see why the idols call you the cheery one.
I'm sorry, but why is she here again?
C'est ma pote.
Right then. Back to the reliquary it is.
Any idea how you want to do this, Grace? Because I'm game to help.
Cool.
C'est paralysé
I'm
là,
sure we can figure
complètement.
something out.
Là, c'est complètement paralysé. Eh bien, merci YouTube d'avoir suivi cette 4e VOD sur Stray Gods. Désolé pour les problèmes techniques, je pense que mon ordinateur surchauffe un peu en ce moment avec la température. Et on se retrouve très bientôt pour la suite.